Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. I am your host, Matt Morris. We are live right now on Rumble at Matt Morris TV and YouTube, Matt Morris TV. Ladies and gentlemen, we are doing an emergency breaking news early morning broadcast. It is 9:30 a.m. on the West Coast where I am. It is Monday morning, November the 10th. Ladies and gentlemen, right now, the Democrats, the progressives, the far left across this country, they are absolutely melting down. In fact, we have not seen progressive Democrat meltdown this severe since November of 2024, a year ago exactly, when Donald Trump won the 2024 presidential election. The Democrats collectively are going insane, and it is music to my ears. Last night, they suffered a catastrophic defeat. President Trump, the Senate Republicans, and all of us, conservative Americans, America First Americans, we achieved a monumental victory. And if you don't know what I'm talking about today, we are going to break all of it down. We've got clips, we've got videos, we've got statements. We're going to go through all of it. The Democrat Party right now is pretty much imploding. I can't even put it to words. There is a coup. They want Chuck Schumer gone. They are losing their minds. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here. Make sure to like and subscribe. I said, we can't wait. We got to cover this now. I've got to go live early in the morning. We've got to talk about this now. And so here we are. Breaking news. Liberals are demanding that Chuck Schumer immediately be ousted as minority leader and challenged in the upcoming 2028 primary by Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. They want him replaced and kicked out of the Senate by AOC. He is cooked. Dude lost his grip on the moderates of his party, and now nobody likes him amongst the Democrats. Now, last night, what happened? The Senate voted for the ongoing Democrat-manufactured shutdown to come to an end. We had 8 Democrat senators hop over and vote alongside the 52 Republican senators to put an end to the shutdown. As it would turn out, the Democrats actually wanted the shutdown to go on. They are not happy. They are pissed off that these 8 Senate Democrats voted alongside the Republicans to bring the shutdown to an end. Now, these are the 8 Senate Democrats that voted last night to shut down the shutdown, to reopen the government. Senator Tim Kaine, Senator Dick Durbin, Fetterman, Shaheen Hassan, Angus King, Cortez Masto, Jackie Rosen. These are the 8 that last night hopped over to vote alongside the Republicans. And I'll tell you what, these 8, they're in big trouble. There's no other way to put that. Democrats, progressives across the country, I don't want to sound too hyperbolic here, but they're losing their mind. They want all of these Democrat senators kicked out, replaced, primaried because they had the audacity to bring the shutdown to an end. And now, last night, we were having a conversation as we were doing coverage of this event last night, the end of the shutdown. There was a conversation we were having, if you think back. And the conversation was, these 8 Senate Democrats, did they go behind Chuck Schumer's back? Was Chuck Schumer a part of this negotiation to bring the shutdown to an end? Or was Chuck Schumer a part of this? Did Chuck Schumer give his good graces to these 8 senators and tell them or allow them to vote with the Republicans to bring the shutdown to an end? Well, as it would turn out, Chuck Schumer was actually involved in this. Chuck Schumer actually knew about the negotiations. He was a part of the negotiations. Chuck Schumer betrayed his own radically progressive base. Do you understand? Chuck Schumer betrayed his own radically progressive base last night. He was a part of the negotiations. He worked with the Republicans. He worked with Donald Trump to bring the shutdown to an end. Chuck Schumer handpicked specifically these 8. These 8 were chosen by Chuck Schumer. And the reason why we know that, well, we've got some information now coming out this morning. Let's take a look. These 8 Democrats, 2 of them aren't even up for re-election. They're not seeking re-election. They're going to retire. Senator Shaheen and Senator Durbin, they're not even running for re-election. They've said, I've had enough. I'm going to retire next time when my term is over. So those 2 were chosen. The other 6, 3 of them, Fetterman, Hassan, Cortez Masto, are up for re-election in 3 years, as opposed to 1 year from now. midterms a year from now. So the point I'm trying to make here is Chuck Schumer picked safe senators. And by safe senators, I mean they had to have 8 people do it. Chuck Schumer had to find 8 Democrat senators to do this, to kind of fall on the sword, to make the sacrifice, so to speak, to end the shutdown, because the shutdown had to come to an end. It was terrible for the country, but also the Democrat Party as well. And so Schumer said, all right, I've got to find 8 people. Well, I'm gonna take the 2 people that aren't even up for re-election, Shaheen and Durbin. I'm going to pick 3 people, Tim Kaine Rosen and Angus King. They're not up for re-election for another 5 years. So 5 years from now, is anybody going to be talking about this government shutdown? No, not really. 3 years from now, they pick Fetterman, Hassan Cortez Masto, because probably no one's going to be talking about this in 3 years either. So these 8 right here have been specifically chosen to cross party lines to reopen the government because they're not worried about having these individuals primaried out. That's why Chuck Schumer picked these people specifically. We also have an inside scoop. Chuck Schumer was more involved than initially reported with the attempted cave-in on the government shutdown. The Gang of 8, as they are being called, these 8 Senate Democrats, had his approval, and Chuck Schumer was getting daily updates. The cave almost happened Thursday after the election, which was on Tuesday. Remember on Tuesday, a week ago, 6 days ago, we had Virginia gubernatorial election, Virginia, New Jersey, and New York City mayoral campaign. So their strategy, the Democrats' strategy was, actually, if you want to go back a couple days before that, on Monday, a week ago exactly, they were ready to cave. They were ready to do what they did last night, cave in, capitulate, totally capitulate and surrender to President Trump, which is what happened last night. Folks, as a reminder, Chuck Schumer and the Democrats, they just suffered a catastrophic loss. The Republicans, President Trump, the Senate Republicans, all of us, America First, we have experienced a monumental victory last night. The Democrats completely surrendered. And now on Monday, 1 week ago exactly, the Democrats were ready to cave. They understood that this exercise was futile. This shutdown was accomplishing nothing. They were ready to cave. They said, okay, let's wait till Tuesday night and let's see, maybe the shutdown is going to help us in these elections. Well, the Democrats had a modicum of success in those elections, although it's not really that big of a deal because all the elections took place in blue states and blue cities, so it's not that monumental of a victory for them. But anyway, the elections have come and gone Tuesday night, 6 days ago, and now they've completely capitulated and caved in last night. The government's reopened. And Chuck Schumer was a part of all of it. Once again, I want to hammer this message home. What does this mean? Chuck Schumer and the Senate Democrats completely capitulated to President Trump. President Trump and the Senate Republicans have completely dominated this situation. They stood firm. They offered nothing. And Chuck Schumer, he realized he's not going to get anything out of this. Every single day that this Democrat shutdown continues on, Americans are suffering, and it's starting to look worse and worse for the Democrats. And Chuck Schumer and the Democrats, they completely capitulated. They completely caved in. We hear from, I believe this is Democrat Senator Shaheen, this morning. Take a look at this. Now they're starting to speak about what happened here.
Senator Chuck Schumer, your leader on the Senate, said, I cannot support a continuing resolution that fails to address health care. I am voting no. Did you do this outside leadership, and was there a big push for you not to join the others and break the 60 threshold?
No, we kept leadership informed throughout. And I think it's important to remember who's responsible for why we got into this shutdown.
So now she's going to blame the Republicans. She just said something very stupid. Democrat Senator Shaheen just said something very stupid. She said she kept Chuck Schumer informed. She said Senate Democrat leadership was a part of this. Lady, that's not something you should publicly admit. That's not something, because what this means is that the Democrats completely capitulated. What this means is that the Senate Democrats, the Democrat leadership in this country, completely surrendered to President Trump. Why would you admit to this publicly on Fox News, no less?
We are here because we are concerned about the health care costs rising significantly on millions of Americans. And we didn't have any indication before the shutdown started that our Republican colleagues were willing to address it. Now, Speaker Johnson is going to have to bring the House back in. He's been AWOL since the beginning of September. when we were in the middle of this shutdown.
October.
Leader Thune has agreed that we will have a bill that we will write that will give us an opportunity to work on those health care costs. And we believe there are a lot of Republicans, including a lot of Trump supporters, who want to see us do something about this because their costs are going up.
They're talking about the ACA subsidies. So one of the conditions of this deal, it was a pinky promise. Trump and the Senate Republicans made a pinky promise. Said, okay, listen, Senate Democrats reopen the government, capitulate, surrender, reopen the government. And after the government has been reopened, maybe, possibly in the House, we will draft up some type of bill to push forward some amount of the ACA subsidies. Maybe, at least we're open to talking about it. And they made a pinky promise. Now, that might or might not happen. I don't know. We got to see. But anyway, the government now is going to reopen. I believe it's going to be reopening on Wednesday because, like she said, House Speaker Mike Johnson has got to call all of these House members. They've all been on vacation for the last month and a half. You know that, right? The House has been on recess, out of session. They're all back at home in Idaho or California, wherever the hell they live. And so everybody's got to come back to Washington, D.C. They're getting on their flights. They're flying back to D.C. They got to come over. They got to reopen the government. So it's going to be, I believe, on Wednesday. That's the tentative date that this government's going to reopen. But anyway, listen, the Democrats have completely capitulated and everybody knows it. And the Democrat base, the radically progressive base, they are melting down. They are pissed off that Chuck Schumer struck a deal with the devil. Who is the devil from the Democrat, from the radically progressive point of view? Donald Trump. Donald Trump is the devil. As far as they're concerned, Donald Trump is Satan incarnate. Chuck Schumer made a deal with him. They are not happy. They are not happy at all. Democrats are melting down. Take a look. Now we're going to get to the meltdown.
They were upset, including leaders in the Democratic Party. Here's Bernie Sanders. Tonight was a very bad night. Zohran Mamdani, the new socialist mayor of New York, elect, he should be rejected, as should any politics willing to compromise on the basic needs of working people.
But as the mayor, he doesn't get a vote in this. So.
That's right. You got Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. People want us to hold the line for a reason. This is not a matter of appealing to a base. It's about people's lives, Brian.
Yeah, Newsom, who he's now playing the role of tough guy. It's hard to know what role he's playing because he changes so much. We saw capitulation and betrayal of working Americans. The American people need more from their leaders, and this is Chuck Schumer. America's in the...
Even senior-ranking Democrats know exactly what has gone on here. I'm not spouting some Fox News, Donald Trump propaganda talking point. The Democrats have capitulated. Ha, ha, ha. The Democrats themselves are acknowledging that the Democrats capitulated. They lost. They are not even denying it. We won last night.
In the midst of a Republican-made healthcare crisis, a crisis of so severe, so urgent, and so devastating the American family. Okay, I can't even finish reading this. Here's the thing about...
What did Representative Ro Khanna said, one of the biggest idiots in the country? Senator Schumer is no longer effective and should be replaced. If you can't lead the fight to stop healthcare premiums from skyrocketing for Americans, what will you fight for? They are upset. By the way, a little reminder here, do not spam the chat. Thank you. Very basic request. Do not spam the chat. Thank you. So they are upset.
Ro Khanna.
Yeah, Ro Khanna, Senator Schumer should go. No longer effective to be replaced. He should be replaced. You can't lead the fight to stop health care premiums from skyrocketing for Americans. What will you fight for? But just real quick, what are you talking about? Obamacare is a thing that it needed emergency funding that was supposed to expire because Joe Biden's program says, we know this is unsustainable, get us through the pandemic, throw money at it, but we're going to expire it. There's a rescue package that we didn't need. So with that going away, how is this Republican health care crisis?
Right. Everything the Democrats are fighting for here, these ACA, Affordable Care Act, Obamacare subsidy extensions, which is what they're all so mad about right now. These are Joe Biden 2021 COVID era extensions. They boosted up the amount of money for the ACA to help people get through COVID. It's not really what ended up happening, but that was the idea. Really, it was just more money for the pharmaceutical companies and for the healthcare providers. It didn't really actually decrease premiums for anybody in the country. But anyway, the notion was get people through COVID. This is a temporary ACA stimulus package, you could call it, and then it's going to go away. And then it's going to go away because it's temporary. Well, this is what the Democrats are having a meltdown. Donald Trump is taking health care away from Americans. He's trying to take... Listen, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, the Democrats admitted this is a temporary thing to help people with COVID. Are we still living in the pandemic? Were we ever living in the pandemic? We don't need to get into that. But by design, these were meant to be temporary. But they're melting down nonetheless. Governor Gavin Newsom, after the news broke last night that the Senate Democrats capitulated total surrender to President Trump, Newsom, Mr. Tough Guy, he said, pathetic. Pathetic. By the way, I have to say this. If you guys ever see me liking a tweet from Gavin Newsom or Chuck Schumer, I like this one. It's so I can archive it and then come back and find it later and show all of you folks on the live broadcast how stupid it is. So I don't really like the tweet. I only like it so I can find it and come back to it later and show all of you how stupid it is. So don't get mad at me, okay? But anyway, I like all of these so I can find them again later. Don't get mad at me, I promise. We have Governor Gavin Newsom again. He says, tonight's Senate vote on the federal government shutdown should have been a time for strength. Instead, we saw capitulation and betrayal of working Americans. The American people need more from their leaders. Folks, the Democrats, ladies and gentlemen, the Democrats are eating themselves apart. They are eating themselves alive. Right now, there is a civil war going on inside the Democrat Party. There is a coup. There is a mutiny going on right now inside of the Democrat Party. They are tearing themselves apart. And this is something I've been talking about on my channel for months and months and months, is that right now there is a power struggle inside the Democrat Party. It's the radical progressives, people like AOC, people like Ilhan Omar, etc. You know who they are, versus maybe some of the more old school moderate Democrats, if you can even call them that. If you can even call someone like Chuck Schumer a moderate, most certainly someone like Fetterman. There's a power struggle. Is the Democrat Party going to go the way of AOC or go the way of Fetterman? That's probably the best way I can frame this. You know what? Listen, I don't want to speak for the entire Republican Party. God knows that's not my job. However, I'll express my opinion here as a personal individual. Fetterman, just come on over. Just become a Republican, dude. In fact, I would bet if Fetterman drops the D next to his name and puts an R, a little R Republican next to his name, he's in Pennsylvania, I bet he could still win. I bet he could retain his seat in the Senate. He's up for re-election in 2028. I'm positive Fetterman could win the Republican Senate race in 2028 as a Republican. I bet he could. And of course, I don't agree with everything on Fetterman, but good Lord, he's probably the most competent Democrat in the Senate right now. And that maybe that's not saying much, but dude, just come on over. It's very obvious at this point, you've got more in common with us. Not everything in common, but at a minimum, more in common with us than some of these absolutely anti-American, subversive, borderline communist, radically progressive freaks over there on the far left. Dude, just come on over, man. Come on over, because I do not think guys like Fetterman are going to win this power struggle in the Democrat Party. The Democrat Party is not going to go the way of Fetterman. The Democrat Party is going to go the way of AOC and Gavin Newsom and Bernie Sanders and Mamdani. We all see the writing on the wall. We all know the way that this party's moving right. It's not moving in the way of Fetterman. As much as I wish it would, it's not. Gavin Newsom last night, he goes on to say, we've got a clip here from him last night.
I worry now, though, that sounds like some of my colleagues and friends in the United States Senate, some of my Democratic colleagues just decided that we're playing by the old set of rules, not the new set of rules, and may have rolled over a little bit. So I love your question. It's the right question. I want to be part of that answer as an American citizen, not as a governor, as the ex-governor of California. But right now, we've got to hold the line, because I think America will become unrecognizable in a year or two unless we fight back.
He wants to fight back. Gavin Newsom here, he wants to play by the new rules, not the old rules. He wants new rules. Can anyone think of one example of what he might be talking about? What are the new rules that Gavin Newsom might want? Might he be talking about nuking the filibuster in the Senate? Do you think good Lord, oh my goodness, it's even crazy to think about. Do you think, no, they wouldn't do that. Do you think the Democrats would nuke the filibuster in the Senate the second they get the chance? The second the Democrats have the House, if they ever do get the House, the Senate, and the White House all at the same time, do you think they would nuke that filibuster and try to destroy this country after doing so? Absolutely. And this is the type of thing that he is talking about precisely. By the way, as a little bit of a reminder, in 2022, the Democrats came within 2 votes in the Senate of nuking the filibuster. In 2022, during the Biden era, they had the House. They barely had the Senate. They had 50 in the Senate. They had the vice president, though, Kamala Harris, which can be the tiebreaker. And then they had Joe Biden, barely. Whatever he was doing, he was taking a nap. But anyway, they tried in 2022. Let the record show. American history lesson here 3 years ago. They tried. They had 50 senators. They got 48 of those 50 Democrat senators to vote yes to nuke the filibuster. 48 out of 50 of them. 2 Democrat senators said, man, I don't know, we can't do this. And God bless those 2. It was Sinema and Democrat Senator Sinema and Democrat Senator Joe Manchin. Those 2 out of the 58 said, I can't do this. I can't co-sign this. They said no. And because 2 of them said no, the filibuster was not nuked. They tried to do it, though, 3 years ago. Just 3 years ago. And you know what happened to Manchin and Sinema? You know what the Democrats did after that to Manchin and Sinema? They kicked them out of the party. They primaried them both out. They kicked their ass to the curb. The Democrat establishment, they said, listen, Manchin and Sinema, if you're not going to help us blow up this country, nuke the filibuster, and then pack the Supreme Court and try to make states out of Washington, D.C. and Puerto Rico to pack the Senate and pack the House, then you know what? We don't want you in the party. You are not radically progressive enough for us in the Democrat Party. You're either 100% on board with the radical progressive agenda, which is destroying this nation, the republic for which it stands, or you're out of the party. And so they kicked their ass out of the party. So let the record show, yes, the Democrats do, in fact, want to nuke the filibuster. They will do it the next time that they have the chance. That might be 3 years from now. Might be 5 years, might be 7 years from now. It's not if, it's when. It's only a matter of time. They will do it. And so this is why you guys have heard me time and time again. I've got a hardline stance on this. We need to nuke the filibuster. The Republicans under Donald Trump's leadership now, today, yesterday, we should nuke the filibuster. We can nuke the filibuster. We can pass a wide sweeping array of America First legislation through the House, through the Senate, through the White House. President Trump signs off on it. This might look like voter ID laws. This might look like proof of citizenship voter registration laws. We could get creative. This might be term limits. We could impose term limits today in the House and the Senate. But we're not doing this for whatever reason. The Senate Republicans don't want to do it. I wish we would, but let's keep on moving on here. Adam Kitzinger, we're going to keep on covering the ongoing Democrat meltdown right now. Adam Kitzinger says, Democrats snatching defeat from the jaws of victory. They actually thought that they were in a position of power here. They thought that they were on the cusp of achieving victory during this ongoing government shutdown. They thought this was going well for them. So be it. Chuck Schumer will be fired in 2026. So here's the thing. This is how stupid Democrats are. Chuck Schumer is not up for re-election in 2026. This tweet has 5,000 likes. Chuck Schumer is not up for re-election in 2026. He's up for re-election in 2028. So they can't even get their plan. They don't even know what they're talking about. We're going to get rid of Chuck Schumer in 2026. Actually, no, you're not, because he's not up for re-election until 2028. Actually, you're not, buddy. This has over 5,000 likes. It's insane. They said 80% of Democrat voters want a new leader in the Senate. Does that matter to the Democratic senators at all? And you know what? I believe them. The Democrat Party has been taken over, hijacked by the far left radical progressives. Obviously, I believe that 80% of Democrat voters want new leadership in the Senate. I'm sure. At this point, they probably want Chairman Mao or Stalin himself to be leading the Senate Democrats. I'm positive about that, Senate Democrats. Now, I'll take a look at some big super chats here. We have one here from, this is JRG Projects. He says, when you travel this season, be sure to thank the TSA for sticking out without pay. That's true. Also, you're not going to be talking to air traffic controllers probably, but there's been a lot of these federal employees, necessary federal employees that have been working without pay. That's true. That's a good point. Also, we have Keeper of Secrets, $100 super. That's a massive one. $100. He says, I finally got you live today. I love your show, Matt, and your fiery attitude. Never stop. Ricky Wally. Ricky Wally, maybe Ricky Bobby. Hey, thank you very much. By the way, I see you commenting on all the YouTube videos. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. You're here every day, and I appreciate that. Today we had to do an emergency morning broadcast. We had to cover the ongoing Democrat meltdown, and they are. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Adam Schiff, everybody's favorite Democrat senator. Thank you, Keeper of Secrets. He says, I refuse to support a funding bill that fails to address the Republican healthcare crisis and make health insurance affordable. The American people clearly understand the stakes and the urgency. We must too. I'm voting no. He voted no last night. He's not one of the 8 Democrats that hopped over to reopen the government. The Republican healthcare crisis. Dude, we are talking about you are mad that the Republicans don't want to extend a bunch of bogus, fraudulent, corrupt ACA subsidies that didn't even reduce premiums for Americans anywhere in the country, that were designed deliberately by the Democrats in 2021 by people like you to be temporary. When these subsidies were introduced, they were introduced and sold to all of us as being temporary. We're not doing this. We're not doing this. And by the way, these ACA subsidies that people like Adam Schiff, they love them. You might have heard in my video the other day, 20% of these subsidies are fraudulent to the tune of $50 billion a year. $50 billion a year of these temporary ACA subsidies ended up going to the healthcare costs of illegal aliens to the tune of $50 billion a year. I'm not kidding about that. This is known. Hassan Piker, one of the most legendary animal abusers in the entire country, and communists, supporters of Antifa, domestic terrorists. He says, in response to Chuck Schumer, all caps, he's melting down. You are the leader of the party. Everyone knows you let the rotating villains concede with basically nothing because you are old and feeble and don't care about anything. You couldn't even make the left pro-Israel your life's mission. Even the Baileys hate you. Resign now. Got a bit of a cough. I apologize here, folks. First off, Hassan Piker needs to be denaturalized. He needs to lose his U.S. citizenship. He's a Turkish anchor baby. I kid you not. He literally is. And now he's spent his entire adult life trying to push communism and support for Antifa to the American populace. Denaturalize him, deport him. Plus, he's an animal. He's electrocuting his dog. We've all seen those clips. Anyway, this is like music to my ears. This is music to my ears. This complete and total radically progressive meltdown. This party, they are eating themselves alive. This is doomsday for the left. Last night, like I said, was the single most catastrophic blow to the left, the biggest failure the left has had in about a year. Whenever Donald Trump won the election in 2024, a year ago exactly, man. This is two Novembers in a row. If you're on the left, man, Thanksgiving is just not good for you. Last Thanksgiving, they were all seething and coping. They were pissed off about Donald Trump. This year, Thanksgiving's coming up. They're going to be pissed off about the government shutdown coming to an end. They just can't have a good Thanksgiving. Feels bad for them. Left-wing commentator Brian Tyler Cullen, he says, we're not going to fix the Democrats' brand by doing TikToks or launching podcasts. The brand is a direct reflection of the strength of our elected officials. If we want to purge our weak branding, we have to purge the weak Democrats. I'm looking forward to a robust primary cycle and ushering in a new era of Democrats who actually know how to fight. So, once again, they're eating themselves alive. Democrat civil war, Democrat mutiny. They are saying, we've seen time and time again now, some of these more moderate, old school Democrats, they're saying, get them out of here. We need to replace every single moderate Democrat that is not a literal communist. We got to get them out of the party. We need more radical progressives. We need more Mamdanis. The future of the party, the future of the Democrat Party is the Mamdani style of Democrat Party. They want nothing but Mamdanis. They don't want Chuck Schumers. They don't want Fettermans. They want Mamdanis. They want Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's. They want Ilhan Omar's. This party is really just becoming the modern day Communist Party. There's no doubt about that. Harry Sisson, famous liberal TikToker. He says last night, absolutely pathetic. I cannot believe we caved to this wannabe dictator and his goons. Thanks to the Democrats who voted no, we'll remember who bent the knee. And so what are they saying? Once again, the Democrats are saying if you bent the knee to President Trump and the Senate Republicans, listen, they are coming. They're coming. The radical progressives want these guys gone. They want them out of here. Things, they are a-changing, as Bob Dylan said a long time ago. Kyle Kulinski, another progressive commentator, he's got a link to his Blue Sky page up here. That's epic. He says, the most disgusting part of this pathetic display from Jello spine Democrats is that a deal this week could have been agreed to in under a week. So why even bother with the 40 days of pain? Primary them now. Chuck Schumer, resign. And you know what? He's actually right. What was the point of this? What was the point of this? The Democrats accomplished nothing. After 40 days, I mean, this shutdown is going to end up being like 42 or 43 days by the time this thing is done with. What was the point? What was the point? They accomplished nothing. They are getting nothing. This is a complete and total domination, complete and total Trump America First domination of the Democrats. They lose. And so, you know what? Actually, part of me understands where these far left radical progressives are coming from. If you are a far left radical progressive, yeah, you probably are pissed off. And why are you pissed off? Because because Donald Trump just absolutely dominated. Donald Trump last night and the Senate Republicans dominated the Democrats last night. That's what happened. It's undeniable. And that is why they are also pissed off. That is why they are so mad. Now we hear from Senator Tim Kaine, who is, by the way, he's one of the 8 that came over and voted to reopen the government. Tim Kaine, where was that clip? Here he is. By the way, Tim Kaine is a disgusting human being. You guys know Tim Kaine actually refused to disavow Jay Jones, Virginia Attorney General. He ended up winning that election. Also similarly disgusting. Jay Jones was the Attorney General candidate in Virginia who was talking about butchering and killing Republican children. Tim Kaine here was explicitly asked, hey, do you endorse or disavow what Jay Jones said? And he said, I don't care. No, it doesn't matter. Whatever. And what's even worse is that Jay Jones actually went on to win that election. The Democrat Party here is just completely rotten. From the feet up and from the head down, the entire thing is rotten here. Let's see what he had to say last night about this.
Do you wish that you would have started looking for this off-ramp sooner? You said that Republicans were never going to change in their position.
I didn't fully understand how dug in they were. Again, because I was so focused on the Virginia elections, I wasn't in this discussion on the healthcare to see how dug in they were. But even as I was not part of these discussions, I was saying to Thune and others on the floor going back, listen, I need, some of you heard me say this in the hall, I need a moratorium on mischief. Others are working on the healthcare thing. I trust them. Others are working on the approach thing. I trust them. I need a moratorium on mischief, because if we vote to open and then the immediate step next week is Donald Trump fires a lot more people, it's going to blow up trust to get the full year deal. And so I've been preaching this moratorium on mischief for a month, but I think partly why did they finally give me the moratorium on mischief on RIFs? They needed my vote, but they also saw the election on Tuesday.
Moratorium on mischief. He's doing everything he can to spin this into a win. I got Donald Trump to issue a moratorium on mischief, whatever the hell that means. Donald Trump and the Republicans, they were scared after the election results on Tuesday, where a bunch of blue politicians won in a bunch of blue states and blue cities, as if that's something to be super worried about. What did he say at the very beginning here? I want to double back. Listen to this.
Do you wish that you would have started looking for this off-ramp sooner? You said that Republicans were never going to change in their position.
I didn't fully understand how dug in they were. Again,
that I didn't understand how fully dug in the Republicans were. What does that mean? That means that This is him admitting that the Republicans have much more of a spine. They've got much more political resolve than anybody on the left, than anybody in the Democrat Party. He said, I didn't realize how dug in they were. That means that he says, I didn't realize how much political resolve and conviction to the America First agenda all of these Republicans had. And so what did he do? He surrendered. He said, the second I realized that the Republicans actually had a spine and some resolve and some conviction, well, then I surrendered. Then I surrendered. That's what he did. Man, this is awesome. Man, what a great day. Honestly, I haven't felt this good since November of 2024, when we similarly completely crushed and dominated the Democrats. Man, what a day. Man, what a rush. What a rush today is. Last night, going into today, I loved it. I live for this. Some people, they drink. Some people, they do drugs. Me, I just want liberal meltdowns. Okay, my rush, what gets me off, this is what makes me high, I guess, is radically progressive meltdowns, is infighting amongst the Democrats, is watching the Democrat Party implode. That's my thing. And so now we're going to hear a little bit from another Democrat, Senator Angus King, who similarly last night voted to reopen the government. He is one of the 8. There he is, Angus King. So he's one of the 8 that voted to reopen the government. Let's see what he had to say.
You have to go back to what the strategy was at the beginning of the shutdown. There were 2 goals, both of which I support. One was standing up to Donald Trump. The other was getting some resolution on the ACA premium tax credit issue. The problem was the shutdown wasn't accomplishing either goals, and there was there was zero likelihood that it was going to. In terms of standing up to Donald Trump, the shutdown actually gave him more power, Exhibit A being what he's done with SNAP and SNAP benefits across the country. Oh, by the way, Joe, you're going to love this. Guess who's getting paid during the shutdown? Not the park rangers or air traffic controllers, the ICE agents.
Dude, this is the next great talking point of the day. When Donald Trump and the Senate Republicans and the House, the Republican House, when they passed the big beautiful bill, they predicted a government shutdown. They knew Donald Trump, he's a smart guy. He knew the Democrats were going to try to shut down the government in order to stop the ongoing deportations and try to take pay away from ICE agents and CBP agents, Border Patrol and DHS agents. So in the big beautiful bill, baked into the big beautiful bill, is 12 months worth of preemptive funding, because Donald Trump predicted their entire strategy. And so he said, well, that we shut the government down. This is Angus here. He says, we shut the government down, and then we realized, wait a minute, we got outsmarted by President Trump. He already included 12 months of funding for ICE. So part of our strategy was to shut the government down, to stop the deportations, to take the pay away from the ICE agents. But Donald Trump was 10 steps ahead of us when they passed the big, beautiful bill. And here he is admitting it on MSNBC, no less. We have left-wing commentator Crystal Ball. I'm sure you've heard of her. She said, Jesus effing Christ, resign. Genuinely, just effing resign. In response, she's a radical progressive. She said this in response to what Angus King said. They are melting down. They are so mad. They are so mad. This might be the best day of 2025 so far. This might, as far as I'm concerned, this might be today, last night leading into today, this might be the best 24-hour window that we have had in all of 2025. They are so mad. They are so mad. And it's awesome. This is the best day ever. This is the best day ever. We're going to go on because we're not even done yet. Now, Senator Angus King, he actually went on. He gave some more information as to why he voted to reopen the government. Let's hear what else he had to say here.
I don't want to land at an airport in the United States with a sleepy air traffic controller because they're working double shifts. So any good general, if the strategy isn't working, you change tactics and particularly you change tactics if your own troops are at risk. And that's really what's happening here. There was collateral damage to the American people. At the same time, the goal wasn't being achieved. So we're going to change. We're going to change the narrative, and now we have a guaranteed vote within the next month on the ACA tax credits, drafted by the Democrats, that the majority leader has agreed to bring to the floor. That's a big deal.
Now, that vote, that is one of the conditions to get these 8 Democrats to vote to reopen the government last night. Like I said earlier, the Republicans said, all right, pinky promise here. If 8 of you come on over to reopen the government, we will have a vote on the House floor to pass some, not all, but some of these ACA subsidies. There was no promise made that the vote would pass. The promise was there would be a vote. The promise was not that Republicans would vote for it. The promise was not that that bill was going to pass through the House and then make its way through the Senate and then that Trump would sign off on it. The promise was that there would be a vote. And so it's probably going to be dead on arrival in the House.
And it gives us a chance to put the Republicans to the test. Are you going to work with us on this issue or not? In the midst of the shutdown, they just weren't talking.
So Bernie Sanders and other progressive leaders have said that you and other moderates that have voted to reopen the government are going to cause great damage to the Democratic Party, and many will see it as a betrayal, and that voters will remember next November. What do you say to Bernie Sanders?
Well, I think what I'm saying is, what was your strategy, man? What was your end game? If we're going to extend the shutdown another week, another month, through Christmas, Thanksgiving, is that going to get us anywhere? The point is, there never was an end game if the initial strategy didn't work. And now we have one. We're going to have, as I say, a guaranteed vote on the ACA. And it may not succeed. I grant that.
He even said it. I'm sorry. He even came out and said it. We were promised a guarantee vote. And it may not even succeed. But here we are. Man, this is the best day ever. This is awesome.
But a reasonable chance, 10, 20%, 30%, is a lot better than 0%, which is where we were as of yesterday morning. So I understand everybody wants to stand up to Donald Trump. Everybody wants to deal with the ACA tax credits. I do, too. The question is this the right tool to do it? And it's becoming counterproductive, and you can't ignore 42 million people not getting their SNAP benefits.
Now, you know what? I'm going to just pause here and give a little bit of credit where it's due. I'm not saying he's a genius, but at least at a minimum, he is smarter than almost all of the other Democrats in the country. The Democrats need more guys like this, frankly, that are maybe a little bit more sensical. I'm not saying has the most sense of anybody, but he realized 40 days into this shutdown, no progress is being made. The Republicans, Trump, the Senate Republicans, they are not going to surrender. They're not going to give an inch. And they did not. No inch was given to the Democrats, to the radical progressives. And he said, okay, you know what? This is a losing strategy. It is time to get rid of the sunken cost fallacy here. It's time to cut our losses, reopen the government. This deal is not happening. We are not getting what we want. And now we got to at least try something else. We got to move on and try to do something else here. Because this shutdown was not working out. And it wasn't. And it did not. And now it's going to come to an end here. So, you know what? Credit to him, I guess, a little bit. At least he had a little bit of sense amongst him here. Now we're going to hop on over to MSNBC. They had a panel last night talking about this. A fuming MSNBC panel finally realizes that the Democrats only kept the government shutdown because they wanted to use it to help them in the elections last Tuesday night. Duh. Let's take a listen.
It's strange, Dean, to go back to the original sort of part of this conversation of whether he is a good deal maker. I mean, in a way, it seems like the president is kind of getting what he wanted 40 days ago when all this started. He was out there saying that, oh, this is all about Democrats trying to give health care to illegal immigrants. He just said that to reporters moments ago, repeated that refrain that Democrats had actually very successfully pushed back against. Then there's all this energy. In the wake of the election on Tuesday, the president made remarks saying basically, wow, Republicans are being harmed by all of this, acknowledging that he was on his back foot. And now here he is winning again? How did he do it?
How does he do it? How does he always win? How does President Trump just keep on winning? He doesn't lose. He just gets everything he wants. Oh, man. I'm sorry. I cannot. I can't get the grin off of my face. I'm sorry. I have this shit-eating grin. I'm sorry. What a great day. What a great day.
The Democrats, I don't understand how a Democratic senator goes, wow, we won really big. Let me cave now. I don't understand. That makes no sense to me.
Well, maybe to Anthony's point, if they were cynical, like if we wanted just to hold this out until we get through the election, and then after the election, we got the wins, This is the best day ever. This is the best day ever. We have another big super chat over here on YouTube. This is from AJH. Republican for South something. He says a small victory, but all the president's executive orders have yet to be made law. Voter ID, continued funding for the border, etc. Republican state Thune are behind. Senate Thune the curve. This is what I'm saying. Nuclear. Still. And I don't know. Maybe some of you disagree. Trump is on my side. I'm on Team Trump here. Trump has been saying exactly every day what I'm about to say here. So at least I know I've got Trump on my side with this one. Go nuclear. Still, the government's going to reopen here. Still, we should go nuclear. Maybe you disagree, that's fine. But at least I've got President Trump backing me up on this one. Still, in spite of this shutdown, it's reopening, whatever happens here, still go nuclear. Legislatively codify all of this, undo the damage the Democrats did during the Biden era, preemptively save the country before the Democrats even have a chance to ruin it again at some point in the future. I don't know. Go nuclear still. So I'm with you on that. I acknowledge that dynamic at play here. We've got another clip from this MSNBC panel. MSNBC panel last night torched Chuck Schumer. This is the end of Chuck Schumer as we go forward. They said, okay.
To me, this idea of left or right or more progressive on ACA subsidies, almost 80% of Americans want the subsidies to continue. That's not left or right. That's right and wrong.
80% of Americans want these temporary ACA subsidies to continue. Where are you getting your data on that? That is not the case. 80%?
So almost 60% of Republicans want the ACA subsidies to continue.
No.
Chuck Schumer should have negotiated a better deal. He should have been in the public more. He's not a bad guy, any stretch. He's just not the right person at the right time. We're going through a different time. You're dealing with a GOP that's an anti-democratic movement. They don't care what the American people think on an issue like this. So I think, honestly, this is the end of Chuck Schumer as we go forward.
What do you think of that, Anthony?
Insane.
You know, I've never been a Chuck Schumer fan.
Look at this, 2 votes.
But I'm not ready to write his obituary just yet. I mean, you don't get to be the Senate Democratic leader for as long as he has without some raw political skills. And
explain to me then, from a purely political or raw calculation, what is it that Chuck Schumer's doing? Winking and nodding like a cohort?
I started with, I'm not his fan.
These idiots actually think that continuing the shutdown was a good political strategy. You know what? Lord have mercy. I am now put in a position where everyone forgive me, I'm about to defend Chuck Schumer. Chuck Schumer is smarter than all of these idiots in the Democrat Party. Chuck Schumer is 10 times smarter than AOC. Chuck Schumer is 100 times smarter than Mamdani. All of them. Chuck Schumer, not that he's a genius, not that he's my favorite guy. You know I don't like Chuck Schumer, but good Lord, these people, at least Chuck Schumer has somewhat of a plan, I guess, kind of. At least he had the intelligence to bring this shutdown to an end because it was not going the way they wanted it to. It was not.
I'm just trying to acknowledge his raw political instincts. I feel he walks around with his flip phone from another era. God bless flip phone. I don't want the flip phone lobby. I think I said this last time I was here to come after me when I was criticizing Chuck Schumer. But
I didn't mean it as a critical thing. I just meant saying, like, help me understand what could possibly be a political calculation for Chuck Schumer here. Because to your point, if he's looking at where some parts of the party are going, if he's looking at where some people who are up for election, why would he say emphatic no and then make it even more?
So I can offer a theory.
Yeah, please,
I don't know if
the emphatic no only makes him look weaker. It doesn't make him look stronger. If he's trying to, I guess what I was going to say really quickly, just to finish it up, is like if he understands that he has some people in a vulnerable position, then you're the leader. Come out and say, guys, I got to help these people. I'm going to lead them to the promised land. But he's out here saying no, and then he's being undercut by this cohort.
Well, we don't know, but it is possible that
he said emphatically no.
No, we don't know what the political motivation is. Right. But one possibility, just offering this, is that he thinks it's better for the politics of the party for him to say no, but for other people who are not facing re-election, who are maybe not facing a potential challenge as leader, to take the heat, and you can kind of have your cake and eat it too. I think that could be what's going on.
I think it opens the door for people.
Well, also, once again, we're about to have 40 million, 42 million people in this country lose SNAP benefits. Okay, and that is the Democrats' fault. You know what? Can I say something real quick also? I just have to quickly address the elephant in the room. We have been told by the far left, by the Democrats, by MSNBC and CNN, we have been told now for 41 days that this is a Republican shutdown. Republican shutdown. The Republicans have caused this shutdown. They are the ones, the Republicans. Isn't it curious that the second you have a couple Democrats hop over, the government reopens? Isn't that weird? Like, hold up. So wait a minute. You've been telling me this is a Republican shutdown for 41 days, for well over a month, but now you guys are mad at yourselves for reopening the government? You're having various members of the Democrat Party. Democrats are mad at other Democrats for reopening the government when just the day before we were all being told that this is a Republican shutdown. Make that make sense. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense, does it? It's almost like, wait a minute. It's almost like they were lying. It's almost like they were lying and trying to gaslight the nation this entire time. That's a little bit weird.
People to primary some of these folks. If you're a Democrat who's just kind of going against the leader who's saying no, 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 you may find the left flank of the party
that is what's
coming
happening.
After you.
So let me give you.
The left flank of the party is now becoming the entire party. Within 10 years, you will not have people like Schumer or Fetterman. You will not have any of these kind of like moderate Democrats anymore. This is becoming a far left, radically progressive party. There are no brakes on that train. Now, I have a super chat over here. Speaking of that, kind of related here from Woons R Us over in Rumble, $20 super chat. He says, after the shutdown is ended, how about comparing and contrasting midterm candidates in each state? I'm willing to help gather info to help out. You could crowdsource. So not immediately, but as we head into midterm season over the next 12 months, you know, a big portion of this show, of this broadcast, of my videos every day, we're going to be talking about midterms. This is going to become the midterm broadcast over the next 12 months. We're going to be totally obsessing over all of that. So yes, maybe not today or tomorrow, but yes, we're going to be doing that going forward. And thank you very much. We're going to be breaking down midterms every single step of the way, talking who's good, who's bad, what's happening, what are the odds, what are the polls, all of that. So thank you very much. Like I said, Democrat civil war, massive amount of infighting. They are tearing themselves apart. Last night, House Speaker Mike Johnson issued a statement right after the Senate voted to reopen the government.
Do you have comments on the Senate clearing the first hurdle yesterday on the shutdown plan?
Yes, it's a great development. It's long overdue. It vindicates our position in this all along. We'll have a lot more to say at a press conference this morning. So.
How soon do you think you might have the House back in?
Immediately. We're going to get everybody back on a 36-hour notice, so it'll be happening early this week.
Thank you, sir.
You can tell he is tired. Give this guy a caffeine energy drink or something. I don't know. But anyway, he actually went on to have this press conference this morning, at which he this morning talked about bringing this Senate passed bill into the House floor, voting on it, reopen the government. Now, to kind of a little prelude for that, Senate Majority Leader John Thune has adjourned the Senate last night. It will reconvene today. It reconvened today, Monday, to hold the final vote on continuing the resolution to send it to the House. That happened. Now it's on the way to the House. As House Speaker Mike Johnson said, he's got to reconvene the House. The House has been closed. It's been out of session on recess until since October 1st, I believe. So what is that? 40 days, 39 days or something. So, whenever the House is in recess or out of session, all these House representatives, they go back to their home. They're living all across the country. And so they've all got to fly back. So they're coming back. I believe that they're going to be back to work on Wednesday, 2 days from now. Yeah. A senior House Republican tells Fox News the chamber plans to return the House, that is, on Wednesday to vote on the measure to finally reopen the government. So Wednesday, maybe Thursday, this government is going to be reopened. That's the word on the block right now. House Speaker Mike Johnson talks about that this morning. Take a look.
So air travel has been grinding to a halt in many places. And as of Sunday, nearly half of all domestic flights and U.S. flights were either canceled or delayed. And it's a very serious situation. So I'm saying that by way of reminder. I'm stating the obvious to all my colleagues, Republicans and Democrats in the House. You need to begin right now returning to the Hill. We have to do this as quickly as possible. Now, we look forward to the government reopening this week so Congress can get back to our regular legislative session. We have a lot of business to do, as you all know, and we will be working in earnest. There'll be long days and long nights here for the foreseeable future to make up for all this lost time that was imposed upon us. I want to close with something that's important. I think it's important to say that this is genuine. I mean this sincerely. We applaud the 7 Senate Democrats and 1 independent senator who did the right thing. They decided to put principle over their personal politics. And my urgent plea of all my colleagues in the House, and that means every Democrat in the House, is to think carefully, pray, and finally do the right thing and help us to bring an end to the pain of the American people. This has gone on too long. Too many people have suffered, and it's long overdue. That's the update I wanted to give you this morning. There are probably lots of questions, but I'm going to get a lot of my own questions answered later today, so stay tuned for more. Thanks. So
there'll be more updates coming out throughout the day. And by the way, we will be doing an evening broadcast at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Western. Of course, that's kind of our regular time. This morning, this is the emergency morning broadcast to go over this total Democrat Party implosion. We have a big super chat here from Roman Nation. He says, my podcast name is Rise Middle America. We'll be covering midterms. Thank you. That's excellent. Thank you very much for that super chat. I appreciate that a lot. At this point, I'm gonna go ahead and pull up some of these other super chats. I think I've missed a couple of them throughout the show today. Yes, I have. And so I want to talk about some. I want to hear what you folks have to say. Everybody, real quick, I do want to say real fast, make sure to like and to subscribe. Thank you all very much for being here. I had to go live early in the morning to cover this total Democrat Party implosion, and that is what it is. This is a complete and total implosion. They are ripping themselves apart. So I'm trying to see if I missed any of these here. This is from Scott Badori. He says, good morning, Matt. Can you start with the happy birthday to the U.S. Marine Corps? 250 years serving the nation, all started in a bar. Semper Fidel. I don't know why, for some reason, I thought this was a couple days ago, but it's today. It's today. I'll take your word for it. Well, happy birthday, Marine Corps. Happy birthday. You say Semper Fi. What do you guys say? Hoorah. There you go. Happy. That's big. 250 years. It's a cornerstone. It's an American establishment. That's awesome. Well, happy birthday. And thank you very much for that super chat. Shout out the Marines in the Rumble chat and in the YouTube chat. Shout out the Marines. There you have it. That's awesome. I see this one from Starscream. He says, thank God I haven't been paid for an entire month. I'm owed 2 paychecks and a half and been surviving only because I pulled money out of my retirement. Let's go. And this is just so disgusting. You should not have to do this. And as we now know, this shutdown is going to extend well over 40 days. It was totally unnecessary. The Democrats got nothing out of it. This was all just ridiculous, stupid posturing, seemingly to try to help them win the elections on Tuesday in Virginia and New Jersey and New York. It's just a completely gross, egregious abuse of power, putting Americans like you in harm's way. Yeah, it's terrible. So, and by the way, thank you. Listen. Hey, wait a minute. If you are 2.5 weeks, or what'd you say, a month and a half, whatever, how many paychecks you should not be donating. You should not be super chatting. Listen, keep that money for yourself, sir. You are the one missing paychecks, not me. Thank you very much, though. I appreciate that. For real. I feel like I obligatorily have to say this. Maybe some other podcasters or people, maybe they don't say this, they should. If any of you, listen, how can I say this? You guys need to take care of yourselves and your family and your loved ones before you ever worry about super chatting to some stupid YouTuber or some stupid podcaster. That's what I am. I'm the stupid podcaster. You guys need to make sure your bases are covered. You folks are taken care of. I should be the absolute last of your concerns. Seriously. So thank you. I appreciate that. But we got to get you some paychecks. Let's open up this government. We have Albrecht Orkridge. He says the only thing qualifying AOC for leadership is a nice resume. Yeah, true. There you have it. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. This one I saw. This is from Kevin Stankiewicz. He says Senator Fetterman could become an independent like Kyrsten Sinema in Arizona, and then she did not get reelected, so switch all the way to Republican. Yeah, I think he should just become a Republican. Switch a couple of his policy points. He's not perfect yet. Change a couple, and then come on over. There you go. So I'm with you. I saw Q again. That was a massive one. Thank you. Outlander here, super chat, says I'm paying. That's a big one. Thank you very much. Says, I'm praying that the 49% of New Yorker that voted against Mamdani voted against Hochul and we flip the state red in 2026. We can pray. I'm not exactly optimistic. Listen, I've said this before. We don't need to have a big monologue here, but demographics are destiny. These sanctuary cities, sanctuary states, for years now, for decades, have been flooded with immigrants from the third world that are beholden and desperate for taxpayer-funded subsidies, and they know the second a Republican gets in office, those taxpayer-funded subsidies are going to be taken away from them, as they should be. And by the way, this is not an accident. This has been the intentional strategy of the Democrats for years now. Flood the country with aliens, illegal aliens from the third world, flip the state or flip the city or flip the country blue, such that the Republicans can never regain control ever again. This is the reason why they've opened the border. So this is why I say demographics are destiny. If you take in 25 million illegal aliens in the country that are inevitably going to end up voting blue to get free stuff from the government, then you're going to see changes when it comes time to vote. And that is what we have seen in New York very recently. This is why mass deportations are so important. This is why we need to deport. I made a tweet yesterday. I said, I don't want 50-year mortgages. This was an idea that was kind of floated by President Trump the other day. I said, I don't want 50-year mortgages. I want 50 million deportations. And that is what I want. I want 50 million deportations, and I want them now. So that's really what we need to see. If we really want to long-term permanently save the republic, 50 million illegal aliens have got to get the hell out of the country. We have got to make that happen. It's not going to take 1 or 2 years. It might take 20 years to get rid of all these people, but it's got to happen nonetheless. So thank you very much. Kevin says, Rhino, stop blaming Democrats, stop making excuses, end the filibuster, then pass a skinny budget for next year with Musk's Doge cuts, Vought's shutdown cuts, and President Trump's voting reforms added. Well, that sure seems like a good idea. I think I can endorse that one. I endorse that. Endorsed. Thank you, Kevin. That's not a bad idea. Thank you very much. Blast Radius here says Democrats put the whole nation in jeopardy just to stick it to Trump. That is. Listen, the Democrats, the term I've been using, political terrorists, economic terrorists, political terrorists, they are willing to implode this entire nation in order to try to get what they want. And they're willing to do that because what they want ultimately is the complete and total implosion of the nation. So it's like, there is a term, political terrorists. That is what they want. They want to reopen the border. They want to flood the country with another God knows how many more tens of millions of illegal aliens. They want to completely upheave the republic for which it has been for 250 years now. And the most disgusting part about this is that they want all of us, actual Americans, to pay for the entire process. We're not going to let it happen. It's not happening. It's not happening. We're taking the country back. AJ Holgan, he says, a small victory, but all the president... Okay, so we saw that one. Yeah, we talked about that one. David Haft says, these leftist pundits know they've been had, but they're going to keep carrying the Democrats' water, make it make sense. They're shills. They are shills. They are propagandists is what they are. Yes, they are paid shills is what they are. Their paycheck depends on it. And thank you very much. Astute observation and true. And Blast Radius, final super chat, he says the Democrats did not successfully push back against the claims of them giving illegals health care. MSNBC panelists on fentanyl with these bad takes. It's true. Trump, the Republicans, we completely dominated the narrative. The Democrats want to give illegal aliens health care. That was the narrative that we pushed. And you want to know why we dominated that narrative? You want to know why we were able to successfully push that narrative that the Democrats want to give illegal aliens health care? It's because this is not some farce. It's not a lie. This is not made up by us. This is not some Donald Trump propaganda. It is true. This is the fact of the matter. The best propaganda, if you can even call it that, is the truth. It kind of helps to have the truth on your side. That's what I'm trying to say here. And the truth is, the fact of the matter is, the Democrats' entire angle, their entire objective, their entire political platform is focused around allowing millions of illegal aliens to, one, enter the country, two, forcing all of us taxpayers to subsidize their existence, which is what this is what they've been trying to do for years now. And so, yes, that is the truth. Donald Trump is right about that. We are right about that. That is their goal. But folks, that is going to be a wrap up for today's broadcast. I couldn't help myself. I was reading the news this morning. I said, man, I got to go live. I have to cover the radical progressive meltdown, the implosion of the Democrat Party, which is what we are witnessing right now. And it is awesome. It is juicy and it is sweet. So I had to go live and hang out with you guys this morning. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Thank you very much. I think I'm going to go work on a video. I'll be back this afternoon, 7 p.m. Eastern, this evening, I guess. 7 p.m. Eastern, I will be back with another evening broadcast, breaking down whatever's happening. And until then, everybody, thank you for tuning in. God bless. I'll see you a little bit later today. What a great morning. What a great morning. Everybody, stay safe. God bless. I'll see you later this afternoon, this evening. Until then, thank you very much. Everybody, I'll see you soon. Thank you.